Mr. Sam Jones, our first topic, NBA legend, Mr. Ten Ring, second to his own teammate, Bill Russell.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man, because
Not 6, 10.
yeah, he won, shoot, I think every year he was in the league, really.
He won 10 years out of 12
And
years.
I think after the 10th ring, he retired. It's something crazy. I was like,
Yeah, him and Russell retired together.
Listening to an interview I watched of his, he said he came in a year after they won the first one.
Yeah.
And he was kind of nervous because, being a championship team, being a rookie, you like, bruh, I ain't trying to mess up this chemistry, but obviously he didn't because they won another 10 after that one. So it all worked out, man. But his story is crazy. So what you think, man? I mean, back then NBA was different, but
I think
that
was one of the biggest takeaways from his story. Is like all the things I've read is like when he came in the league, he didn't believe in himself. Like he looked at the Celtics and was like, "Oh man," especially because of how good they were. Like he thought, he didn't think he was cut out for the NBA. Right. And then when he did make it, he was like, "Well, crap! I didn't want to get on the best team. Now how am I? I'm gonna get cut first cut." And instead, they end up cutting a vet for and keeping him. And it took a couple years for them to realize his worth. He's playing behind Bob Cousy and stuff like that. It's like good luck getting the starting position there. But eventually, he didn't gain so much trust in himself from what he talks about. He gained trust in his teammates. He knew that Bill Russell would do his job. He knew that this guy would do his job and this guy would do his job. And then when he realized, look, everyone's going to do their job on this team, I can just go out and do my own job and become really good at it. And he did. And that's when he started believing himself and it became great. And that's the thing is there's a lot of people out there like that, right? Like they don't believe in themselves. And that's why like getting on a good team is important because like people who know what they're doing. I'm not talking about like a championship team every year. You don't have to be on that, but just being on a team where everyone plays their position. That's one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of the positional basketball or positionless basketball we play today is because guys like Porzingis can go play with, Luka, and you got 4 7-footers on Dallas, and all of them are standing there waiting for Luka to get the rebound. And it's like, dude, those guys can out-rebound Luka every stinking play of the game, but they don't. They stand there and let him get it because that's the kind of play they play. And so then, like, if they're not rebounding and Luka's doing all the scoring, then, like, when you look at their stats and it's like, well, this guy's not worth $11 million a year. This guy's not worth $30 million a year. This guy, it's like they are. You just don't. We play this weird basketball nowadays that I don't know that actually work. It works with some teams, but the teams who run it, Ben Simmons, Russell Westbrook, Luka, like it doesn't work. So, positionless basketball is good if you have players like Kevin Durant who can play the 2 through the 5, or LeBron who can play the 1 through the 5. But unless you're that special talent, this positionless basketball we play today is kind of goofy. I don't know. It doesn't actually work with a lot of teams. And that's the thing with Sam Jones. He realized, like, he realized Bill Russell's going to do his thing, I can go out and do mine. And he became great at it. He became one of the best shooters, we'd seen at that time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
I have to agree with you guys as well. Like I said, Sam Jones, he had a very impressive run. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, coming in the league, playing 12 years, and winning the championship 10 years out of those 12 years. So, I mean, I feel like that's pretty impressive. I even went on the record of saying, off camera, I should say, saying that he was actually better than Jordan just because everybody likes to base off of rings, I should say, since Jordan got 66 and 0.
It's a good debate to have.
It's a great debate to have. I would love to have that debate one day. But, I mean, just all jokes aside, though, I mean, 10 rings and 12 years, that's impressive. And he was clutch as well. Like John was saying, he got the nickname Mr. Shot and Mr. Clutch for a reason. Because, like I said, the guy, he made the shot when he needed. So, all in all, like I said, just rest up Sam Jones, man, and he's definitely going to be dearly missed.
Yeah, 100%, man. And something I took away from watching his interview is like you say, John, he didn't have a lot of confidence in himself. You
Mm-hmm.
know, he wanted to stay being a teacher. He took his
Yeah,
wife to
and that's
encourage him,
okay.
like, hey, go give it a shot. You know, he was looking for stability. And at that time, you know, I don't know how the NBA was ran back then, but it probably wasn't a lot of stability. And end up working for him. He's a legend, a Boston legend. And then, you know, at that time, you know, listening to like Bill Russell, he talks about some racial encounters he had. So, you know, I know at that time, you know, you winning and winning and winning,
First
but
African
everybody's not
American,
happy for your success either.
first African American elected into the North Carolina Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame. So another, cool thing that he was able to do,
Yeah.
like because he wasn't just a great player, he was a breakthrough player,
Yeah.
in some aspects. But yeah, like that's the thing too, right? Is like, not everyone does believe in themselves. A lot of people have big dreams, but they're not sure they can do it, and that's why it's important not to cut those people down and be like, you know what? It's like, no, just do your job and show them, like, man, and that way when they see you do your job, they can like fall in line and they can be like, okay, you know what? I can count on Nico, I can count on Walt, I can whatever, and there's someone out there who can count on you. And then they're going to fall in line and they're going to do their job and they're going to become great. But a lot of people, but at the end, his life would have been great if he were a teacher too. I mean, you listen to what everyone says about him. The way he talks. It's funny because he was going to be a teacher, like you said, and he asked what I read, it said he asked the school, he wanted $500 more, like a week or a month or something. And they said, and he was like, if they give it to me, I'm going to go be a teacher instead of play for the NBA. And they didn't give it to him, so he said, all right, I'm going to the NBA. But yeah.
All right, I'll let y'all then. Y'all I'm gonna go.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he sounds like a really cool guy. And then at the end, when they beat what's funny because he actually got drafted by the Lakers, and then he decided to stay in school for another year, and then he got drafted by the Celtics. To think, like, he could have played with Chamberlain and Jerry West and
the logo.
Yeah, he could have played with all them dudes. So history could have been changed. Maybe that team wins 5-6.
He would have went on with the Lakers, in my opinion.
Say what?
I said that's another championship run if he would have went to the Lakers as well too with all those
guys. You never know, or they might have went back and forth.
Yeah, it might have had to split them.
One of them things, they both might have had 6.
Might not have been 11 and 12 years. Yeah, that's crazy run though, Celtics, 11 and 12 years. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot less parity, but still, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Even the last one, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell talks about because he was the coach. Bill Russell was the player and a coach. So at the last one, he said they were playing the Lakers and it was game over. You know what I mean? They were about to get knocked out by the Lakers, and he called a play for Sam Jones to take the final shot. And he knew it was going to be Sam Jones' final shot, kind of, because he knew him and Sam were retiring, and he didn't want Sam Jones to go out like that. He didn't want to be remembered for missing a shot against the Lakers, so he was going to switch it to someone else, and then he was going to let someone else take the shot, and then he was like, you know what, nah, if we're going to win this game, it's got to be in Sam Jones' hand, and that's awesome, man. Like, and so he did. He took the shot and he hit it, and they won and beat the Lakers. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a Celtics fan, but I'm glad for Sam Jones.
But it's crazy too, because even like going back to then, certain teams were dominating, kind of like now with Alabama, and Alabama's dominated now. Then the Bulls dominated the 90s, Lakers dominated the 80s, Celtics dominated the 60s and the 70s. It's like somebody's going to dominate something seem like every decade.